Hey all. Yeah, I was going to set update episodes to the side, but I've got some video footage I want to take advantage of and load up on Patreon and on the YouTube channel, and it kind of goes along with this update. A quick look at a film I saw this weekend called The Pod Generation. That little lobster on the side, well, that's not food. That's the movie I was going to watch Saturday afternoon. Unfortunately, some unknown, unidentifiable internet issues stopped the streaming about 10 minutes into the movie, and the endless spinning buffer circle had me looking for another movie to see. That first movie, The Lobster, was a 2015 kind of dystopian thing that, even though those first minutes intrigued me, I ended up disliking when I saw it Sunday afternoon. It only got the .25 of its 3.25 rating because the ending made sense to me after having sat through the first couple of hours of the film. Let me take you into the world of the pod generation a bit. We're in some not so far off future in New York, USA, though the movie was filmed in Belgium. The people we will be watching in this film belong to a social strata that lives in automated homes, shares them with intelligent appliances, and an AI assistant. Technology seems to have solved most problems through careful management of resources and holograms, substitutes for things damaged in earlier generations. We meet Rachel, a working woman, and Alvy, her working husband. Rachel works in some kind of tech company that creates and sells ever more advanced AI personal assistants. She also seems to be responsible for so-called influencer content. Something shown only briefly seems to be social media personalities that help sell the products for the company that she works for. Alvy is a botanist, seems to do most of his work from home, where he has a wonderful greenhouse built into their high-rise apartment. He also works at a university, teaching some pretty atrophied young adults about how nature was once, through tours of the larger greenhouse maintained by that institution. Rachel seems to be doing really well in her job and gets an offer for an important promotion. This offer is made by her boss, also a woman. There is a little catch, though, and it's naturally a question about procreation. Does Rachel intend to have babies? That opens up the theme, or seeming theme, of the movie. Women in this future world have been made equal to men in that they no longer have to set aside their careers just because they have become pregnant. That biological obstacle to a woman being equal to a man in the workplace has been removed by the Womb Center, a part of a larger company called Pegasus. Babies are made through artificial insemination and gestated in large plastic eggs. Now, calling the place the Womb Center is totally appropriate. Those eggs are basically artificial wombs, and they are kept at this center. The building the producers found to play the part of the Womb Center appropriately has rounded window frames that might make you think of dozens of wombs stacked in shelves. It's the Fosbury and Son Shared Workspace building, originally built for the CBR Cement Company in Belgium. Where the film strays in metaphors, though, is calling the parent company Pegasus. The myth simply doesn't support anything I can see in the story. Once we've got all that exposition out of the way, we've got a pretty straightforward kind of role switch comedy. And I'm using the word comedy generously here. I didn't find more than a couple of timid guffaws released during my screening, in which it's the dad who shows the signs of carrying the pregnancy, while the mom shows the lack of comprehension usually relegated to the male. The movie doesn't really invite you to think about anything. When trying to use an artificial intelligence shrink, Rachel allows herself to be taken in by the non-answers and non-questions of a massive eyeball set in a flowered wreath on the wall, while Alvy recognizes that Eliza, the shrink, that fake coffee table psychologist, hasn't really evolved from her early days chatting with early personal computer users. It seemed to me that the script was dominated by the same level of routine or pat answers to those over-asked societal questions. In any case, I did enjoy the movie. Didn't find it all that funny, but it wasn't a bore either. I chuckled when Alvy offers a fig to one of his clueless botany students, who replies with a revulsed,
"But it's from a tree,"
referencing how all food is made automatically by machines in their world. Of course, we don't see how the proles live. At least in Orwell's 1984, we get a quick glimpse of one from Winston's window, hanging out the laundry and humming a computer-generated propaganda song. In the pod generation, we don't ever step outside of the world of working women and plastic eggs. I think I gave the film a 5. It was so unremarkable I don't remember the final grade only 2 days later. But well, for a rainy day afternoon, it might well be worth a look. It won't stimulate you much, though you will learn how a screwdriver contributes to being an improvised midwife. Then Sunday, The Lobster. My mates seemed to defend the film repeatedly by saying that it was a film d'auteur, which, despite my respect for anyone making any kind of artwork that they feel best suits them, is nothing more than a session in the bathroom with the door locked and a lot of hand cream. It's easy to remember the names of the characters, as there is only one character who has a name. That's David. David is a run-of-the-mill man whose wife has left him for another less run-of-the-mill man, leaving David a single man again. David ends up in a program that is meant to help him find another woman to become his wife. Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? This one was supposed to be a comedy as well, and this time I can't bring myself to use the word comedy at all. You see, the problem is that the film has a very clear premise that doubles as its main conflict. Being in a relationship, good. Being single, bad. That's it. The rest of the material that makes up the film is like the director's fevered COVID dream. I mentioned that the film is dystopian. Well, it seems that if you are married, and it doesn't seem to matter if that is a hetero or homo marriage, though bi marriage is too complex for the bureaucracy to handle and has been phased out. Well, if you're married, then you have liberty to participate in society. You can go to the shopping mall and get your eyes checked or buy some face cream or shampoo. You can even go visit your married parents as long as both of them are alive. However, if you are an adult and single, you can be stopped by the authorities and something terrible may happen to you, though we aren't told what. What we do know is that that hotel David has gone to for the mate-finding program was not of his free choice. Rather, it was that hotel, or be outcast into the woods, to be hunted down by guests at that hotel, and then turned into animals. Which is the fate, as well, of those at the hotel who do not meet a mate in those 45 allotted days, extra days rewarded for shooting tranquilizer darts at those single people living in the woods. The difference seems to be that the guests of the hotel get to choose what kind of animal they will be transformed into, while those in the forest don't get that choice. David, by the way, chooses to be turned into a lobster for some pretty superficial reasons. And talking about superficial, there's the way in which people decide that they are a good match. They all point out something that sets them apart, be it getting regular nosebleeds, to being short-sighted, to having a limp or a lisp, or even a beautiful smile. Then they look for someone else who shares that outstanding characteristic and decide to get together. If there is any unexpected friction arising from having paired up for such superficial reasons, the solution is to give the couple a child. Yet things are not any better for the single crowd who lives in the woods. They have just about as many silly rules that set them apart and yet make them akin to the regular society. You can't flirt. You can't have physical contact with another single. You certainly aren't allowed to pair up. The singles may not have the technology necessary to change humans into animals, but their punishments that include razor blades applied to human flesh seem much more horrifying and realistic. You can probably tell I really didn't like this film, and no matter how d'auteur it seems to be, I simply found it long, repetitive, and horribly superficial. You might walk away asking if being paired is actually good or simply imposed, or if being single is actually all that bad or simply impossible. The choice made by the director on how to end the film earned him that quarter point that the beginning scene took away through its utter superfluity. Is that how you say that? Superfluity? Superfluity. Superfluity. That sounds better. Superfluity. Well, anyway, I could only recommend seeing it. Well, I can't really recommend seeing it. I'm not sure what kind of person would actually enjoy it. So, two evergreen themes, female versus male, orbiting around procreation, and single versus married, orbiting around confusion. They both did for this past rainy weekend, I guess. You might like them or not. The video images that you can see are of me fixing up the roof frames for my greenhouse, a task I had thought about all summer but didn't get my hands on until the day before those autumn rains. Glad I got that done. The greenhouse would have gotten wet inside, and I was even able to plant some peas and beans in milk cartons today. And episode 14 is due to go live on the 18th of September. Oof, saying that dates this episode, but, well, no one will notice. I didn't say what year. Cheers!
You're listening to Radio Revel. Listen, like, subscribe, and share.